Heroes of Lockdown! Greenknight. Well, hello again, everyone. I hope the apocalypse is treating you well. We've a special guest, another special guest on today, Greenknight, who has done a lot of the work on the Vassal mod. In particular, recently done the work in bringing it up to 1.5 compliance, as well as Armada Warlords and his own blog. I Have You Now, as well as doing a video series. And at the moment he's going through his pod experience in the Vassal World Cup. So if you're wondering what's going on in those type of matches, get a feel for there. Anyway, listen, welcome to the show. Do you prefer Greenknight or your own name?
It's the same. My real name is Björn, so if you can pronounce it, you're welcome to use it.
Well, Bjorn, hopefully I can pronounce it considering the amount of Swedes I work with on a daily basis. I know you're Norwegian, but I better be getting Bjorn and a couple of the Scandinavian names right. Hopefully I am, or else I'm in a lot more trouble at work than I think I am. But no, I've been enjoying all the work, from the videos to the blog to the amount of time I've spent on Vassal. So I was just wondering, what first got you into Star Wars Armada?
One of my friends introduced me to it in, I think it was May 2015. He had gotten the core set and he set it up on his kitchen table, and we played through the introductory scenario from the Learn to Play book, doing most of the stuff completely wrong, of course, but it caught on.
Yeah, cool. And was it your first war game, or was X-Wing your first war
No,
game?
no, I had tried X-Wing previously, but it didn't quite fit me. So before that, I did, of course, Warhammer 40K and Battlefleet Gothic and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, Games Workshop was the gateway for myself as well. I think it was Titan's Legions, the big box set
Yeah.
with the Imperator Titan, was what started me down this dark path, as they say.
So FFG's games, they are pretty cheap and simple by comparison. You don't need a huge collection to actually play them, which is a big plus in my book.
I also find their rules have a tendency to stick to the theme they're trying for better than a lot of other companies.
Yeah, I think FFG is good with rules. They always get some flack over the rules reference guides and that sort of thing, but compared to the competition, I think they are pretty much spot on when it comes to outlining their rules. So no complaints there.
Yeah, and even like the flavorful stuff like Han Solo going first, or Luke, making that perfect shot in between the shields, is all kind of well represented.
Absolutely.
So you gravitate mainly towards Imperial yourself, or am I wrong on that? Or have it just been...
No, I think it's probably 3/4 Imperial. It used to be more Rebel, but I never really liked the Rebel squadrons being slower than Imperial squadrons. So the Reichian bomber command center stuff never really caught my attention. I mean, I played against it many times, too many times, but no, I guess I like having the initiative and deciding when to strike first or not. So I think I really transited to Empire when Sloan arrived, and I'm very guilty of abusing Sloan, unlimited relay, and the Gozanti spam. Guilty as charged.
It's always either you or Tok'ra who's done it.
Yeah.
If a thing on the Imperial side has been nerfed, you or Tok'ra or both of you played it generally.
Well, curiously, whenever I play X-Wing now, I do play some X-Wing 2.0. Every time I manage to assemble a list, it suddenly goes up by 10 or 15 points the next time there is a point change. So I think I may be one of those that really like to push the system and find the components that are cost effective and work well together.
I suppose everyone has a different objective, and for some people, building the most efficient list um, is the goal, and some people like yourself and Tokra and others are better at it than others. Um, I know your lists are usually way more efficient than my crazy stuff I put together. Um,
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if I'm very original, but I can take good ideas that I see other people playing with and sort of tweak them until they reach peak performance. So I remember when I started playing Onagers, I saw uh, Sam or Mandalorian Moose running an Onager list, and I immediately got some good ideas from that. And you mentioned Tokra, and that's the guy who started teaching me how to use Imperial Squadrons. So everyone that suffered at the end of my Imperial Squadrons can blame Tokra for that as well.
cool. Oh no, and Mandalorian Moose is feckin' terrifying with
Yeah,
onagers.
he's
Me,
really good.
at one point, I was like, should I just put these CR90s in the bin permanently? Because I think I played them like twice or three times in a row before the Onager was released. When we had the rules set, but we didn't have the full details, and it was before the evades at extreme range, and ships were just going, another ship just popped. What just happened? I was
Yeah,
terrified by some of the stuff he's done with Onagers.
and the Onager is a terrifying weapons platform. Of course, being hit by it is the worst, but the stuff that it does to your setup and early maneuvering turns one and two, it can really shape the game in the favor of your opponent if you're not used to playing against it.
And a lot of newer players or people who are looking at it as an artillery piece are not prepared for it to suddenly jump to speed 3 and just
No,
get away from you if you have got around it,
and
which
that speed tree is, of course, one of the things that makes it really scary and also very points efficient. The one I'm running in the World Cup now is 117 points. So uh, if it dies, yes, it is a chunk of points, but it's only like two small ships to trade for it. And it usually takes the entire game to focus it down, leaving the rest of my fleet more or less untouched. And it can go to speed 3 and jump away out of danger.
and that's less than an ISD 2,
Yeah, it's pretty scary actually,
and it'll do more
and
damage.
way too cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
sorry,
test.
FFD, you dropped the ball on that one. The test bed is, or not the test bed in its isolation, but combined with particle cannon, ordnance expert, veteran gunners, Hondo, wader officer. All these things come together to create that perfect storm.
Yeah, I think the super weapon costs might be part of the problem, but 'tis hard to know. It's there's just so many pieces that get put in, and they're all so points efficient.
Yeah.
Um, who'd ever thought we'd be scared of veteran gunners? To be
No,
honest,
it's a good
I did
question.
not.
I did not. No,
Uh,
I had a good role with veteran gunners in these Onager games because they are great. They ensure that one shot more or less always has at least average damage, and then you can start modifying it with ordnance experts and concentrate fire tokens, and you have, of course, Wader officer from 1 point riding in the back, ready to spike that damage.
and like I think people don't realize how much of a problem he is. But now that people have the upgrade pack and don't have to buy an SSD to get one, I think the next time people can wide scale go and play in person, the full impact of him will be seen.
Yeah, he's way too cheap, and the fact that you can run him on a Gazant is just completely bonkers.
Like what you call, I had a fleet with Romedy which just had 3 Architans, Demo, and something else. But all the Architans had skill first officer, and or Vader was sitting on a Gazanti. So there, for 4 points, I'm getting 3 rerolls across the
Yeah,
game.
Yeah, that's not scaled to other reroll upgrades at all.
Not in the least. Like it was almost as efficient as what you call it, intensify firepower, which
Yeah.
is harder to set up, and is more expensive. And requires a ship that has a slot, and there's always that tax there on those fleet commands. But what you got? How did you get into doing Vassal, by the way, and working on the mod? Because
Well, it's a small town where I live, and the guy that introduced me to the game, he was interested in sort of casual games. He's more into fleet action, if I can call it that. So he'd like to play without any upgrades or no titles, maybe one upgrade per ship, that sort of thing, and just run five ISDs and 20 squadrons and throw them at a similar sized rebel fleet. So he wasn't that interested in the competitive for 300 point games. So I had to start looking for other players that were interested in doing that. And then I stumbled upon Vassal in the FFG forum. Absolutely didn't understand what it was, but suddenly I was sitting there playing it. So as you can understand, I didn't make the original Armada module. That's a user called Ransburger. It basically took the existing X-Wing Vassal module and converted it to Armada. So we owe our existence to X-Wing actually.
yeah,
Yeah. So basically, I played for about a year, and he wasn't exactly very quick with adding new stuff. So I offered to help out, and suddenly I was the one doing all the work, I guess. And I don't think he was as interested in the game anymore. So at some point, I was doing everything and adopted a module as my own.
yeah. No, I mean it's a fabulous the amount of work, and the updates for 1.5 have been excellent, and even the quality of life improvements really stepped it up as well. How many hours do you think you've put into developing the mod from what it was?
Uh, that's hard to say. Too many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
hundreds and hundreds of hours. Way too many, but spread out over many years. So, but I have had some periods where I have worked rather intensely on it. So I have no idea. I let's say too many and
too
leave it
many.
at
That
yeah.
is fair enough. What's the favorite feature you figured out how to make the mod do? I suppose.
Well, I guess making the dice roller actually report what you roll into the text chat. That was a lot like banging your head into a brick wall for a really long time until finally the brick wall broke and it worked. The documentation isn't always very good at telling you how to accomplish things. There is documentation, but you have to sort of figure out everything for yourself.
Yeah, no, I
So
mean,
I remember, yes, and I don't think anyone really cared that much that you now could see reports of your dice rolls. But for me, it was sort of a major accomplishment.
well, like, this is the thing. When you're playing Vassal, and maybe, like, I like to think of Armada as the old man war game, because it's nice and slow and everything's civilized in its pace. But you can get interruptions, and somebody can have gone ahead and rolled. And the fact there's a log there of what was rolled has, I think, saved a lot of arguments. I know when Tabletop Simulator didn't have the roller, and like it was one of the hardest things to get used to is not having that log there. Because you could just get distracted and miss somebody rolling dice. And as
Yeah,
we know, if there's one thing that's going to get gamers annoyed at each other, it's an odd roll of some kind.
yeah, absolutely. So generally speaking, the game did not report anything really to the log when I took over. So almost everything that I have done have resulted in some form of automatic report. so you don't have to sort of have your eye fixed on the table all the time. Hull changes, speed changes, shield changes,
Yeah,
defense tokens being spent, and so forth.
that was the bit I really liked from the 1.5 update, is because occasionally I'd hit the wrong thing because I am terrible for telling my right from my left. So occasionally I'll remove the shield from the wrong side and then I won't remember what the shields were originally. But now it's because it tells you what it started at, it really helps me be less terrible at playing.
Yeah, I
Um,
had the same problem, especially when playing ships upside down.
yeah, it's like
down.
if you get in early, okay, I'm starting from the bottom. That's how I know I got to a match first because my fleet is along the bottom. Um, so apart from X-Wing, was there other mods that you took inspiration from, or was this just kind of you took the documentation and you just plowed on?
Pretty much that last thing. I just plowed on right into it. I think the only vessel module I've played other than X-Wing is Small World. It's a fun little board game. You may have heard of it.
Oh,
It's
I played
fairly pop.
it.
Yeah. So I did some Small World just to improve my skill level, so I could floor my friends in real life.
Well, that's why you play a board game app, so you can just dominate the people you know and love.
Yeah,
It's why I've played 74 hours of Lords of Waterdeep on my phone. It's just anytime that comes to the table, it is my game.
yeah, e- exactly. And maybe I also played Carcassonne. Yeah, I played Carcassonne, but that eventually arrived on a mobile app, so I switched over to that. And it's nice to play. I'm a player. I like to play, but I like to win when I play. So I'm okay with losing, but I can admit that winning is usually way more fun than losing. I mean,
So,
there are good ways to lose as well, and really bad ways of losing. Like that game I had with my 8 counselors not too long ago, where I managed to score exactly 0 points. Where I picked the wrong objective, moved my ships wrong. His fleet was a perfect counter to mine, and I even managed to roll very poorly. That was a very bad way of losing. 0 points. Not a proud day for the Grand Army of the Republic.
yeah, well, concerts seem fantastic, but I think if you play them wrong, it goes a bit off. But the worst game I've played so far was when neither of us scored any points.
Wow.
We just overly caged it. He had a Star Hawk, and I tried to come in from the side, but he was covering the other side with small ships, and everything survived. I made a pass with an MC-30 to grab something. I made an attack with Lando on some flotillas, but nothing died.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, it was the weirdest game I've ever played.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentionally trying to draw it or anything. It was just we both respected each other's threats way too much potentially, and yeah, just. But yeah, sometimes you're like, what in God's name was I thinking in that game? Uh, Me, maybe more often than yourself, because I've been on the receiving end of stuff like your Darth Vader Simons and stuff to know that your off days are a lot fewer than your on days. But because you're very good at the mod, but when playing the mod as well as building it. Um,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the original creator. Is there anybody else you'd like to, any other co-conspirators you'd like to mention from?
Yeah, I had a period where I didn't play much and wasn't too interested in maintaining the module. I felt like I had sort of done what I could do and didn't have any good ideas going forward. So I tried to sort of hand it off. And then JJ, aka JJ's Juggernaut, who is a world's winner, he offered to take the module off my hand. So he had control of a little creative team that included Ard and Caribbean Ninja. and someone else as well, I think. So they took care of it for a while and also implemented some new features that are still in the module to this day. But then he became sort of disinterested in the game, and I, rather than see it just fizzle out, there was no one else that were too interested in taking it over. So I sort of took it back, and well, Clone Wars inspired me, so I guess that's the reason why we have this big upgrade now.
Yeah, and they did a massive upswing in players as well. With
Yeah,
Clone
I think we
Wars.
I think we can thank COVID and Clone Wars for the upswing, and I also think that the module, it plays really well now, and it also looks much better because I finally found the time and will to sort of go through every component and bring it up to a certain visual.
Mm, But what you call it? No. How can people support the module going forward? I suppose.
Um, for the time being, they can just play it and enjoy it. I think I'm financially, well. I'm not rich, but I have the money that I need, so I don't need any grants or aid
Yeah.
or anything of the sort. So just have fun with the module. Report bugs when you find them. Send in feature requests if you have anything. By all means, try to recruit new players. You can also check out my YouTube videos, of course, or read my blog, but there is no obligation to do so. You'll become a better player if you do, of course. So
Definitely. And all
definitely,
this stuff will be linked down below, gang.
yeah,
Because they're well
yeah,
worth the read.
yeah. And also within the module and within the help menu, you can find links to a lot of the podcasts and other community sites. So you can check those out as well. Um, so I'm open for suggestions about things to put in that help menu as well. So such as your YouTube channel. I don't think that's been added yet.
Yeah, and I suppose the easiest way to get in contact with you for those suggestions is just on Discord, basically.
Yeah,
Because you have your own Discord as well to support your blog, so that'll be linked down below as well.
yeah. I have a Discord. It's not super active, but it's the easiest way to reach me.
Perfect.
Or the main Armada Discord, of course.
Awesome.
Uh, hmm.
Well, listen, thanks very much for taking the time. If people, as always, want a list build, just throw a comment in and check out the blog and the video channel for Greenknight. Listen, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.